Hello everybody, welcome. First of all, it's always an honor and a privilege to come and talk to people who are looking to make their first step into digital. I've been working in digital for probably the best part of about 25 years. So since the only thing you could do with your mobile phone was actually make a phone call. So I've been through it all, and I've seen us move from having dial-up modems to now having ubiquitous internet, to the birth of social media, even the birth and introduction of search engines. And now we stand on the cusp of a new revolution that's really happening. And if you're going to make your time and your step into digital for the first time, you couldn't be looking at a more exciting time to be joining the digital world. Because obviously you've all heard about AI and artificial intelligence and how it's kind of revolutionizing our industry. So, welcome to Softonic. I'll tell you a little bit about Softonic first. Lots of people, certainly if you're from Barcelona, understand Softonic. We're one of the oldest companies in the digital space. We're actually 1 year older than Google. So, and it's a Barcelona-based company. So it's been here for the best part of 26 years, now going through. Essentially, we are a software distribution company. We basically have software partnerships. We run a really large catalog of applications that we're able to do. And then we help users with their discovery, where they have technological problems, and software is part of the solution to be able to help them. So, Softonic in numbers. We are a global company. We have about 75 million users that come and visit us every single month for that. And that results in us distributing about 60 million pieces of software down to people every single month. And a huge proportion of that is actually across desktop and across mobile. We're a true global company. Our reach is not just contained within Europe. We have operations that run across the United States, across Asia, and as the internet is now becoming more ubiquitous, obviously one of the key opportunities for us is now distributing software within the emerging economies of the world as well, through Africa, the Middle East, the Asian subcontinent. In terms of Softonic, we have some of the major distribution partners. We are the biggest distributor, hello sir, we are the biggest distributor of Microsoft software in Europe to be able to come through. We ship more Microsoft products than anybody else. We have global partnerships with Adobe, with Opera, with large sort of antivirus companies as well, such as Avast. And these are the types of products that we help distribute and ship out to millions of people worldwide. Our catalog is actually about sort of 600,000-700,000 pieces of software that we go out and distribute. And when we do that, we're a very busy and we're a very active organization. And we're a very fun place to work. So I know lots of you are trying to make your first step into sort of digital. So yes, as Softonic as a company, we do have table football, okay? That's one thing for sure. We do have pizza and beers on Thursdays, which is good. We only work half days on Fridays, which is another huge tech perk and tech benefit as you go. But by far and away, the thing that makes us a fantastic company to come and work for is this one slide here, okay? That Softonic, we actually are a really fair and a really equitable place to be able to work, okay? Even just within my team, amongst this 91 employees that we actually have about 20 different nationalities that are represented. And within my team, some of whom are here today, we have people from Colombia, we have people from Italy, we have people from Spain, we have people from the Netherlands, we have people from Finland, and obviously myself, who's English as well. So we're an incredibly multicultural team, and that really brings a lot of sort of fair behavior to it as well. As a leadership team within the company, we have 8 people that sit within the leadership team, 4 men, 4 women. Okay, and therefore we actually we have more than twice the industry average number of females that work in our company than the rest of the tech sector, okay, which is a huge positive benefit for us. And actually the stat at the bottom is the one we're probably most proud of, that almost all industries now have a gender pay gap, that men traditionally get paid more than women. Okay, at our company, we only have a pay gap of 1%, and that pay gap is actually in favor of women who come and work in the company. So, a little more about then what do we do? What is content discovery as we sit there? So when we think about content discovery, we think about it from a user's perspective and from a user's journey, okay? That a user wakes up one day and they're doing something and they have a bit of a problem. And that could be anything, like your bank sends you a document and it's in PDF and you're like, I need to sign this, okay? Or it might be you want to watch a football match in a far-flung country and you need to discover how you can watch that football match. Or it might be that there's a game or something that you want to play. But it always starts off that you have a problem, or maybe you're looking to start your own business and you want to understand, what do I need to start my own business? Okay, so you can have an ambition as well. And traditionally what happens now is people go through this investigation phase. They start trying to find solutions to that problem. Okay, and this is really the place where these type of companies come through. Traditionally, you can go through Google or you can go through Bing and you can type your query within there. Or more commonly now, you can go and you can start to look within the social media context as well. You know, most of the sort of Generation Z people use Instagram or TikTok. YouTube is now actually the second biggest discovery platform for business-to-business software in the world. So there's a huge shift away from just using search engines to working into social media for it as now as well. So often there you get the sort of the explanation about how you could do this, how you could solve these problems, the type of solutions that exist. And then you really move a little bit more into this discovery phase. And within discovery, it's really broken down into two areas. You've got the piece where all of the software exists. So all of the places like the App Store or the Google Play Store or Up2Down or Aptoid, places where you can actually download the physical piece of software. And then after that, you've got the editorial side of the business as well, okay, which is where you get reviews and, you know, all of the articles that you read on things like Google Discover to be able to come through. Okay, all the things that give you the expert insight into how you might use a piece of software to be able to solve your problem. And that is our playfield. This is where Softonic sits. This is what we do. We help distribute 60 million pieces of software every single month, and we produce millions of read articles for people to be able to make the decisions over the right choice of software to be able to come through. So how do we think that AI is then going to sort of change discovery? The truth about AI, I think, is going back and looking at the timeline. It's not a revolution that's just happening now. It's actually been around for quite a long time. Okay, AI first started in the 1950s. And that's when most of the math that was really formed for AI really began. The problem was they didn't have the processing power. There wasn't enough computer stuff to really make those algorithms work and algorithms fly. And it wasn't until the sort of the mid-2000s we started to see things like Siri being launched in 2011 and Alexa being launched in 2014. Alexa's birthday last week as we go. She's 9 years old to be able to go through. And these introduced a whole new way of discovering things, that you could actually talk to the machine rather than sit down and type, or rather than just use your thumb in an up, down, left and right motion to be able to do it. So we started to build this new conversational interaction. And this is going to become the dominant form of interaction that people have with the digital world going forward. It will be how people discover the solutions to their problems going forward. So for a business like Softonic, where we have, well, 800,000 solutions to people's problems, understanding how we can work with this type of technology is really important for us going forward. So most of you will have heard about this now, ChatGPT. It's been an incredible roller coaster. The speed of which adoption has happened has been incredible. It was only released in November the 30th, okay, last year. And within the space of 5 days, 1 million users. Within the space of like just over a month, it hit 10 million users. By the end of January, it had hit 100 million users, and Microsoft made the biggest transaction ever, a $10 billion investment to go, here, give me a piece of that pie. Okay, so an incredible adoption, and it continued to grow throughout. In April, okay, Italy banned ChatGPT, okay? By the end of April, they realized what a terrible mistake that was, and they reintroduced ChatGPT into the world. That this is actually going to become the most dominant way in which we start to interact with services. And the speed of adoption has really just been incredible as we go forward. So, one other thing happened on that timeline, was that Google also introduced a new service, okay, called Project Maggie. And this is also known as what we call a search generative experience. So search engines have basically been the same for the last 26 years. Google's front page has not fundamentally changed in 26 years. Okay, it's got much better at doing searching, but it hasn't really changed. That experience of search hasn't changed at all. And there is a lot that really rides on that. Okay, that's a very important thing, because Google and that search experience helps contribute about $2.5 trillion to the global economy. The distribution of the World Wide Web is so dependent on that search engine and how it functions that there comes an incredible responsibility that Google has. But it knows it needs to make that change, okay? Because AI is forecasted by 2030 to contribute 15 trillion to the global economy. Now, if you think it's taken 25 years for Google to contribute 2.4 trillion to the global economy, and we're now going to generate another 15 trillion in just 6 years, you can see the urgency within which all organizations now need to think about how we go about discovering content. So,
I'ma make 'em talk like, whoa, move fast, move slow, catch me on a roll, come say hello, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Yes, yes, yes. Come say hello, 3, 2, 1, let's go.
You got this. Let's go.
Is a hot dog a sandwich? And the answer is
Yes.
no.
Yes.
No.
I'ma make 'em talk like whoa, 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 whoa. I'ma make 'em talk like.
I'ma make 'em talk like, whoa.
And that represents the shift that we're now going to see in the search experience. Now, the one thing that this sent the whole world of search engine optimization people into an absolute freak out moment, okay? Because the one thing you notice from that is you don't go off to a website. There's no more list. There's no more, here are the search results, and off you go to the website. This now keeps everybody within that kind of Google experience. So for the whole people who work in search engines, the whole people who work in websites, this is an absolute, like, terrifying kind of revolution for us, okay? Because we are dependent on people coming to our websites in order for our businesses to be able to survive. But it is actually more of an evolutionary thing than a revolutionary thing for a number of reasons. So websites are needed because Google needs websites. So without websites, there is nothing to train this AI on. So therefore, the content that exists in websites, which is what things like ChatGPT or Project Maggie will actually be trained on, still needs the websites to exist. And there still needs to be a fair and equitable value exchange. You know, Google's existing revenue model is like 58% of it comes from people paying to be in that list. Okay, so suddenly taking the list away is something that's going to happen over quite a long period of time. Okay, and 11% of Google's revenue still comes from people who use Google's platform to advertise on other websites. So therefore, the experience that we will see in search will be an evolutionary one, not a revolutionary one. But the one thing that's very clear is that we're going to have a new customer, okay? And that new customer, for the first time, is really going to be a machine and not necessarily a person, okay? Because if we want to be successful and we want to be those people that feature in that search generative experience. It changes what we have to do. It changes the way that we have to think about content. And this is the challenge that we're starting to adopt now at Softonic. Okay, thinking about what is our future when the machine becomes a customer. And for that, there's three main areas in which we've really got to do, okay? The first thing is to scale your business massively, okay? Because machines need data, and machines need a lot of data, okay? The reason why things like Siri was always a bit awkward to use is because it didn't have enough data to really be able to sort of train. It didn't have the context. Whereas something like ChatGPT has the entire contents of what's been published on the internet since 2021. It's massive data sets, and that's what builds this new experience. So you need to be producing a lot, and that in order to feature in this search experience. You have to be able to enhance it, okay? You have to make it more appealing for the machine to want to consume as well. And that also means then, as you move into this sort of lead phase as well, that you have to change the way in which you produce content. You have to write content now, not for you, because it's about you becoming engaged and you liking it and you clicking on an advertisement that's related to it. It's now much more about the ability for the machine to be able to summarize that information and be able to pull it out into the generative experience. So this is the future about how we have to do what we have to do to be able to change. So the first thing that we're doing for Softonic, at the moment, we're a global company. We publish all of our content in 17 languages worldwide, which is how it helps us address things. So the first change we will be doing is changing that and making that now into 26 languages worldwide. The use of machine learning and AI that we're going to start introducing into the company now allows us to move past human translations much more into the AI and machine-based translations. So this will actually not only allow us to deliver another 9 languages next year, predominantly to start to address the emerging economies, but it will also allow us to reduce our costs by a factor of 20 in terms of doing that. And that's the type of change that AI and machine learning brings into a business as you go forward for it as well. We also have to change our content, okay, to become much more expert and much more authoritative, and I'll talk about that in a moment, okay. We also need to expand our catalog. That voracious appetite that AI and machine learning has means we need to massively scale the amount of stuff we have within the catalog. And we now have a program within the business called Massive Scale that allows us to start to do that. And it's looking at, how can we use machine learning to be able to ingest more content, to be able to find more content, discover it? How can we write the reviews for that content? How can we normalize the data in such a way that it can be ready for a machine learning model to be able to come through? Okay, and finally, we also need to grow the number of outlets that we have for this publishing. We need to focus them, we need to specialize them, we need to stop being so agnostic and so general, and instead start to become really impactful in major areas as we go forward. The machine becomes the customer, and when you start generating content, when you have all of those editorial pages that we had before, the really big shift and the really big change here is that you start becoming a content expert. Stop writing content for you and me, and instead start writing content for this machine. Okay, and the machine, its challenges and its problems are not about being engaged. Its problem and its challenges are very much about having authority, about becoming trustworthy, because these are the challenges with AI. You don't want to see a review from necessarily an AI that's never been on holiday anywhere. You want to get your holiday review from somebody who's a subject matter expert, somebody who's been there, somebody who's seen it, somebody who's done it. So it's how do we start to produce that type of information, subject matter expert information, not just general I'm a content writer information, ready to go for the web as we start to go through. And also we're going to be looking to sort of like localize our content much more as we go through. At a more technical level, it also means some changes for us as a business. We have essentially our front-end websites where we all have. And at the moment, we have these kind of like traditional CMS structures that sit within the business. Those CMS structures are, relational databases of information, the same stuff that's being there. But this isn't what the AIs and machine learnings need in this world. What they really need, okay, is knowledge. That's what they feed off. Okay, trustworthy, authoritative knowledge. And that means changing all of the data that we have to start understanding how do you understand the relationships between different pieces of data? How do you add context to all of that data? And this means that there is a whole fundamental program that means a whole back-end infrastructure change. People always think about stuff like services like ChatGPT and implementing into business. Okay, that's not the hard part of the job. The hard part of the job is doing this piece in the middle. It's preparing all of the stuff in the back end. This is why things like government services struggle to really keep pace with the adoption of future-facing technology, because their back-end infrastructure is old, it's heavily database driven. Then they haven't invested in that back-end infrastructure enough to make it modern enough that you can start to integrate services like ChatGPT into that front-end experience for it. So these are our challenges that we're working on as a business. This is essentially our 2024 plan, to start to look much more at the fact that the machine becomes the customer, about the changes we have to make about how we scale our content, how we become more trustworthy, how we build domain authority much more within digital, how we can start to translate and move into other countries, how we can massively expand the catalog as we go through. How do we build an entire back end that starts to become relevant to artificial intelligence going forward, so that we can start to work with other third-party organizations and start to work with these new interfaces for how people will come through and start to discover content. So it's always, as I said, a privilege to come and talk to people. We are one of Barcelona's oldest companies. We do have a lot of fun within the business, within the organization. And we really hope that in 2024, some of you people will come and join us and look forward to it. The world of content discovery is going to be an amazing transformation. One of the biggest transformations that we will see in the whole of digital, because we all use things like search. We all use services like TikTok. We all use services like Instagram. And everything is going to change to take into account this new way in which people will interact with service, the way in which we will discover the knowledge that is contained within the internet. So hopefully we look forward to seeing some of you in there. Thank you very much.